Welcome back to the Nest. This morning we are here with the one and only Jasmine Johnson. Welcome, Jasmine.
Thank you.
All right.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely. So Jasmine is one of our newest realtors here at Parrot Realty, and she's been in the industry here for some time. So we definitely wanted to get her on the podcast and, hear some of the questions that you have for some of our buyers. So Jasmine, I'm all yours.
Okay, awesome. Well, I do work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and a lot of questions that I get are surrounding credit. So a lot of first-time home buyers want to know what kind of credit score do they need to have in order to be pre-approved for a loan?
Yeah, listen, that's actually a great question. And we actually get those type of questions quite often, right? A lot of people are under the impression that you need like a 750, 760 credit score, 720 credit score to qualify for a home or to get into a home. But that's actually not the case. Okay. So it depends on the type of loan product that we're using. We can go as low as 580 on a FHA loan, right?
Oh, wow.
620 is what most lenders will look for when it comes to conventional. VA don't truly have a score requirement, but 550 is going to be where your starting point is. In fact, with FHA, sometimes we can even go lower. I've done many loans where the scores were under 580 for FHA, right? Okay. So 550 can get you into a home. What's going to determine if you can go under 580 is going to be how much money you're putting down. So typically, if you put more than 10% down on an FHA loan, you can go below 580. But as first conventional, it's going to be 620 most of the time that you're going to need. But that's pretty much your credit score range, right? For those type of loans. So, but that's a great question. We get those type of questions a lot. So for everyone that's listening, you do not need a 720 or higher credit score. If you have a score of 580, you can easily get into an FHA loan with no problem. And 620 if you're looking at a conventional loan. And VA loan, if you're a veteran, we'll do whatever we can do to make sure we get you into a home.
Awesome. You mentioned a little bit about down payment as well. You said something about 10%. What is the typical down payment that's needed for a loan?
Sure. So down payment, again, it depends on the loan program that we're using, right? So we can go as low as 3% on a conventional loan, which is very low. A lot of people think they need 20% down. You don't. So conventional loan, if you're a first-time home buyer, we can use 3% down. FHA requires 3.5. If we're using a VA loan or USDA for that matter, it's a 0% down. In fact, one of the best loan product that you can use is a VA loan if you're a veteran, of course, or if you're a widow of a veteran or a spouse of a veteran. Using the VA loan product is the way to go, right? And the reason for that, the VA loan does not require you to have private mortgage insurance. And on top of that, the debt to income ratio on a VA loan is a lot higher, right? We can stretch a debt to income ratio to sometimes 62, 63% on a VA loan, right? Wow. While you can't really do that on a regular conventional or FHA loan for that matter. Okay. So one of my preferred loan product is the veteran loan product. But all of those type of loans that I mentioned, they all have their benefits. So rather if it's an FHA loan, conventional loan, or USDA or VA loan, those are all great loan products that someone can use to buy a home.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that people will be excited to know that they don't have to put 20% down necessarily in order to purchase a home. So that's great.
Now, 20% down does have its advantages, right? So if you're using a conventional loan, for example, and you put 20% down, you eliminate the MI, the mortgage insurance aspect of it, right? So, so that help you reduce the mortgage payment, right? But if you don't have 20%, that should never stop you from, pursuing home ownership.
That's great. Great to know. Talk a little bit about the loan products. How do you determine what is a good loan product for a specific buyer, a potential buyer? Yeah.
So the way we figure out what's the best suited loan for a client is really by having a conversation, right? So we want to understand the client's needs. So we do that through a consultation, right? A buyer's consultation, and understand their needs, right? Their goals, and how much money they have obviously available, going to be a huge factor in terms of which loan product that we're going to use. So if someone have, for example, very little debt, right? And they have a lot of, sizable income, for example, right? So we're probably going to take that person the conventional route because we can keep the ratios down, right? Okay. And perhaps they can still put 5% down or 20% down if that's what they want to do, or it's 3% down if we're looking at someone that's a first-time home buyer. So we want to look at the debt to income ratio and manage that, right? If we have someone that has high debt and the income is not that high, right? So we can still give them a payment that's going to keep their front ratio lower, but the back end ratio is going to be a little bit higher, over 50%, then that's someone we want to take the FHA route, right? So we have to understand their needs. But ultimately, what we want to do is make sure that person get into a home, get their keys in their hand with the most confidence, right? So we want to help them understand their finances. We want to make sure the client understand, the goals. So we want to participate not just with the client, but with, of course, the realtor partner, and find the best loan product that's suited for them. Make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's really important. And,
Yeah.
we really appreciate that you at the Nest to do that for our clients. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So at the Nest Lending Group, powered by Revolution Mortgage, really our goal is to educate clients as much as possible. So every time we have the opportunity to sit with a client, the first thing our group do is help them understand, where they're standing right now, right? And the way we can do that is by understanding their needs, right? Is by having those conversations. It's important for us that a client is fully educated as they go through the process of home ownership. Rather, if it's someone that's buying for the first time or someone that's buying for the fifth time, we want them to understand what that process looks like.
Absolutely.
I think a more educated client is a client that is set up for the win as opposed for failure.
For sure. I agree.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again for, joining us, and thank you for those wonderful questions. So I hope to see you again.
Absolutely.
All right.